Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. Congratulations to all of our winners tonight. To start off, I just want to say thank you to everyone on behalf of the Central Region, to our CFS Planning Committee, to the Safety Committee, and everyone else that makes CFS such a great event. Let's give them another round of applause. As you know, coming out of the pandemic, we had to miss 2 consecutive CFS conferences. But over the last couple of years coming out of the pandemic, I'd like to just say that I feel like we've had back-to-back events that were nothing short of amazing. And what better place to be in Las Vegas than the site of Super Bowl 58, where the Kansas City Chiefs also just recently accomplished back-to-back. You know, and this year being our 3rd CFS since those back-to-back championships, I kind of think of this as like a CFS three-peat. So we're back in the game, baby. We'll see how that turns out. One thing off script real quick that I want to say, I think he's at like table 51. My dear friend, my colleague, my right-hand man, my work wife, Todd Mariani. He's retiring at the end of this year. He's been my ARVP, my rock for literally like the last 12 years. So I just want to say thank you to Todd, his last CFS at least as my ARVP. So I love you, brother. Thank you. Take a second. The evening of January 23rd, 2024 was an evening met with particularly low ceilings of 200 feet and a half-mile visibility at Wichita, Kansas, a Tower Tracon up-down facility. The conditions were so poor that the ground was not even visible from the tower cab that night. At approximately 7 p.m., Astra 81, a KC-135 tanker from Fairchild Air Force Base in Washington, attempted to land at McConnell Air Force Base, located on the southeast side of Wichita. Astra 81 made several attempts on McConnell's ILS one left approach, but all were unsuccessful. The crew, believing an equipment failure at McConnell was to blame, decided to divert to Wichita and try an approach there. Checking in with controller Tyler Spencer at Wichita Approach, Astra 81 was at minimum fuel and stated that they had 30 minutes of fuel remaining. Hearing this, an emergency was declared. As Astra 81 continued to receive vectors, they were unable to receive the ILS. Tyler quickly switched them to the RNAV runway 1 left approach, issued their approach clearance, and switched them to the tower. When checking onto the tower where newly certified local controller William Wyatt was working, it became clear that Astra 81 was unaware of their position in relation to the airport. Unable to get the airport in sight when they were right over the field, William issued climb-out instructions and handed them back off to the Tracon for another attempt. Cameron Haynes, who was in charge in the tower, was relieved from position and headed straight for the Tracon to be of further assistance, where Allison Healey and Cody Wilkerson were busy searching for airports within 100 miles that may have had better weather conditions. Tyler Spencer recalled everyone trying anything and everything they could, looking up alternate airports and even searching for other tankers nearby that may be able to provide Astra 81 with airborne refueling. Unfortunately, Astra 81 that evening advised they were unable to accept aerial refueling. Allison even stepped out of the Tracon, called her husband, who is a KC-135 maintenance chief at McConnell, to see if he had any ideas or suggestions that the crew of Astra 81 could try that night. It was truly all hands on deck. Astra 81's next attempt was again unsuccessful. They were unable to get stabilized on the approach despite William issuing them mileage off of centerline with guidance from CPC Tony DeHaven, who drew from his military experience with surveillance approaches. It was becoming increasingly concerning that Astra 81 may not be able to land safely. Let's play the video.
And departure from Astra 81, would like to try that approach one more time. For whatever reason, a glide path over McConnell was malfunctioning, so we'll try this one more time.
Astra 81 heading Wichita departure, radar contact 1 mile north of McConnell, maintain at 4,000. Turn right heading 140, back to the ILS 1 left.
All right, 140 and 4,000 feet for Astra 81.
Wichita.
Astra 81 Heavy, he is declaring min fuel at this time, and he's unable to pick up our equipment, glide slope, or localizer. He wants to go to you guys to divert.
Astra 81 Heavy, turn left turn, heading 180. This will be a vector for the ILS to 1 left at Wichita.
Left turn 180 for 1 left at Wichita.
Astra 81 Heavy, the 2326 special observation. Wind 0106, visibility 3/4 mile, mist, ceilings 300, overcast, temperature 3, dew point 3.
Astra 1 copies.
Astra 81 Heavy, how much time and fuel remaining do you have?
Astra 1 about a half hour fuel.
Roger. Astra 81 Heavy, you're clear to the RNAV, runway 1 left, contact tower 118.2.
118.2, Astra 81. Tower, Astra 81, coming in on the RNAV 01 left.
Astra 81 Heavy, Wichita Tower, and I'm showing you over the field now, is that correct?
Astra 81 is going to conduct mist.
Astra 81 Heavy, climb maintain 4,000, continue runway heading.
Runway heading up to 4,000.
Astra 81 Heavy, do you want to be revectored again for another RNAV?
Confirm, Astra 81.
Astra 81 Heavy, turn left heading 320, climb maintain 4,000.
Left turn 320, Astra 81.
Astra 81 Heavy, contact approach on 126.7.
126 on Astra 81. Roger, Astra 81 Heavy, passing 3,500, looking to get vectors for the RNAV 1 left at Wichita.
Astra 81 Heavy, Wichita, departure UR, radar contact. Astra 81 Heavy, turn left heading 190, vector RNAV, runway 1 left.
Turn 190, Astra 81.
Astra 81 Heavy, 5 miles from the final approach fix, turn left heading 040, maintain 3,000 until established on the final approach course, cleared RNAV, runway 1 left.
Left turn 040, maintain 3,000 until established, cleared the RNAV, runway 1 left.
Astra 81 Heavy, contact tower 118.2.
182, Astra 81 Heavy. Our Astra 81 Heavy, we're 6 miles from QDIC.
Astra 81 Heavy, Wichita Tower, runway 1 left, CRVR 5,500, runway 1 left, clear to land. Astra 81 Heavy, you're about half mile through course for runway 1 left.
I'm back, Astra 81 Heavy.
Astra 81 Heavy, you're showing right of course.
Astra 81 Heavy copies.
Slightly left of course, 1 mile from runway.
Astra 81 Heavy copies.
Astra 81 Heavy, you're over the approach end. Astra 81 Heavy, if the runway's not in sight, go around and climb maintain 4,000.
Astra 81 Heavy to 4,000.
Astra 81 Heavy, contact departure 126.7.
126.7, Astra 81.
Astra 81 Heavy, Wichita departure, radar contact 5 miles north of Wichita, and maintain 4,000, turn left heading 220, vector for the RNAV, runway 1 left.
220, maintain 4,000.
Astra 81 Heavy, turn left heading 190.
For whatever reason, we're picking up glide path on the opposite end of the runway for the RNAV. We're not sure why.
And Astra 81 Heavy, you're the only aircraft we've had reporting any issues with the equipment there. If there's anything we could do on our end that you might think will help, just let us know. Astra 81 Heavy, and if you'd like, we could try and relay to get another tanker airborne for you guys to refuel in the air if you need.
Negative, Astra 81.
Astra 81 Heavy, turn left heading 040, join the final approach course.
040 to join the final. Astra 81.
Astra 81 Heavy, 5 miles from the final approach fix, maintain 3,000 still established on the final approach course, clear RNAV, runway 1 left.
Astra 81 Heavy, 4 miles from the final approach fix, cleared the RNAV, runway 1 left at Wichita.
Astra 81 Heavy, 7 miles from the runway, contact tower 118.2.
118, Astra 81. Or Astra 81, 1.5 miles to JEX, RNAV 1 left.
Astra 81 Heavy, Wichita Tower, the runway 1 left RVR, more than 6,000. Runway 1 left, clear to land. You're 6 miles from runway.
Clear to land, 1 left. Astra 81.
Astra 81 Heavy, inside of 3 miles from the runway, clear to be on course.
Astra 81.
Astra 81 Heavy, 2 miles from runway, appear to be on course.
Astra 81, say winds.
Wind 010 at 6. Astra 81 Heavy, 1 mile from runway, appear to be on course.
Astra 1, runway to sight.
Roger.
While on their third attempt at an approach at Wichita, William Wyatt issued Astra 81 mileage from the airport every few miles to aid the flight crew in maintaining their descent profile. Thankfully, as you just saw on the replay, Astra 81 was able to finally land safely. During a post-landing phone call, the pilot revealed that their IFR equipment was not functional, and they had 12 minutes of fuel remaining. They were unsure if they would be able to make another approach attempt after attempting the one they were finally able to land on. The team of members at Wichita also revealed that they were discussing options for where they could vector Astra 81 should the crew have to ditch the aircraft to minimize damage or injuries on the ground. We contacted the crew of Astra 81 with an invite to make it tonight, but due to a scheduled mission, they were unable to make it. We are honored, however, that pilot in command that you heard on the replay, Captain Andrew DeCiccio, was able to provide us with a brief video interview on what his perspective of that evening was. Let's check it out.
On the ILS to one left, and everything's vanilla, right? We have everything set up in the jet properly, everything's good. And when we get up to the final approach fix for one left at McConnell, and I noticed that my glide slope indicator in the jet isn't coming alive. It's a red little glide slope on it, which means that we're not getting proper signal. So we get vectored back around for another approach. And again, we weren't getting any glide slope in there. And so after 2 or 3 attempts into McConnell, and they asked if we wanted opposite direction, but I was like, no. I said, let's go to Wichita International. I know that there are aircraft that are diverting there, that are landing there, and so I know 100% that their ILS is working. And yeah, it wasn't coming in, right? It was wild that I'm getting a little choked up with it. It was a pretty wild moment, right? We come in, ILS isn't working, and so at that point I knew that it was my jet's equipment that's malfunctioning. And in this moment, I asked my boom operator. I asked her to make sure to see if there's any circuit breakers that are popped that we could potentially maybe recycle, anything that could help us out in this moment. And she said that there was nothing wrong with the circuit breakers. Everything's good. And so in this moment, we're kind of like, okay, well, what do we do? And my co-pilot brought up the idea of using an RNAV approach. The controllers, honestly, were being so helpful. I'm so thankful. I mean, they were doing everything that they could, right? I mean, I was giving them as much info as I could, making the best decisions as I could at that point. They were providing incredible vectors as far as, distance to the airport, direction. They're giving me alternate airfields I could land at. But it was, I was like, well, with the current fuel state that I have, I don't really want to try to go anywhere else. First approach on the RNAV, I remember for some reason the equipment wasn't cycling properly, and it was at that moment I was flying the jet, and I knew I was trying the best I could in that moment to keep my crew calm. And, there's only so much you can do, but just keeping them calm, keeping the emotion out of it, and just getting through this experience together, right? Phenomenal. They were saying, hey, sir, you're right on course, right on center line. Keep it coming down, right? And I'm having my co-pilot back me up on all the altitudes in the area to make sure that we were abiding by any step down minimums. And then all of a sudden, broke out for the weather. You see the runway, you see all the lights, and I said, "Thank you, Jesus," and we brought it in, and that was that. So, like I said, incredible job by the controllers. Like, probably, I mean, they helped out so much that day, and I'm so thankful.
Brothers and sisters, this save exemplifies the detail-oriented teamwork of the controllers that work at Wichita Tower and TRACON. Even when the situation was dire, they never stopped working or looking for options, and everyone was focused on what they could do to make this situation a success. Thanks to everyone's training and selfless work ethic, Aster 81 and its crew was able to land safely. As you can tell, there were several members involved that evening, and 2 of our award winners were unfortunately unable to make it tonight. So we send a heartfelt thank you and say congratulations to 2 of our 2024 Archie League Medal of Safety Award winners who could not be with us, Cody Wilkerson, who is now at A80, and Allison Healey. Now, please help me welcome to the stage the 2024 Archie League Medal of Safety Award winners from the Central Region, Tyler Spencer, Anthony DeHaven, William Wyatt, and Cameron Haynes.
First of all, thank you so much. We spend our whole careers, from training until retirement, being reminded that we need to have a plan B, or a plan C, or a plan D. But it's not often that we start approaching the end of that alphabet. So what do you do when, as an individual, you start to run out of time and ideas? You have to trust your team. When you have such an experienced group of controllers from diverse backgrounds, with an enthusiastic commitment to safety, you never get to the end of that alphabet, and you never have to pull Plan Z out of the bag. As a controller, I think it's normal to feel busy or stressed or even overwhelmed on position. But what isn't normal is to feel fear. And I think I speak for all of us when I say that we were afraid about the potential outcomes of a tanker running out of fuel over our city on our watch. My ATC mentor used to tell me that a good day was one where you didn't make the news. But this day it felt like we might. It's awe-inspiring to see your crew, who are such an easygoing, hilarious group of people, flip that switch and become intense and focused professionals. As this tanker tracked towards the tower cab, and then descended towards the highway north of the airport on a different approach, William stayed calm and collected on the radio. Tony on ground control solicited PIREPs from the previous arrivals to see if our tanker would be able to see the runway. We talked about whether or not he'd be able to see the runway because he'd be blinded by the lights. He was also helping me pore over procedures and the .65 to come up with any idea. I later ran to the TRACON to find Tyler vectoring this aircraft around as cool and as measured as one can be, as always. Cody and Allison were working hard trying to find an alternate airport with decent weather, and Allison even got off position to call her husband, who's a crew chief at our tanker base, to see if he could offer any insight. All of this to say this is the kind of team that you want to be a part of in these circumstances. This is an incredible honor, and we'd like to thank NATCA for this award. We also have to thank our regional and local leadership for getting us here. Thank you, Aaron and Muzzy. Thank you, of course, to our families for putting up with our schedules and our work-life balance. Thanks to our brothers and sisters in Wichita for the dedication to safety they show every day. And also, thank you, our peers. Maybe the greatest honor is to count ourselves among you and call ourselves air traffic controllers. We hope we made you proud. Thank you.